All right, guys, let's get this party started. So let's see here. Let's kick this off. Let's make sure I've got all the technology working. I got all the gremlins out of my computer. So look, guys, as I look on this list of people, man, we got a lot of people on today's call. I see a lot of old friends, a lot of familiar faces. So great to have you guys back, and great to see a lot of my clients on today's call. Lots of people that I haven't met, so soon to become old friends. So if I haven't met you, my name is Andrew Houston, and I'm the founder of Profit for Contractors. So the first thing we just want to make sure on today's call, before we start rocking your year, is to just type into the chat box. If you can see my screen, you should see me jumping up in the air, and you should see it says the best year ever. And can you hear me? So if you can just type into the chat box, there should be a little tiny box for you guys to just chat. Just type in, can you hear me? Hey, Ross. Man, long time no chat, my friend. Great to have you on today's call. Awesome. Okay, perfect. So lots of people on the call. Just chat in the box. Where are you in the world? Just type in the box, where are you in the world? It'd be great to see where you guys are at. Man, Kitchener, Aurelia, Perth, Ottawa, Caledon, a lot of people in Ottawa, Greensboro, Hanover. Holy cow. That's great, Jim. Embrun, hey, Martin. Great to have you on today's call. Wayne in Milton. Danny Boy in London. Awesome. Okay, guys, excellent. Okay, so let's get into what we're going to cover today. Okay, so we're going to cover what it takes to make a. Oh, wait, we also got Gail from Orangeville. Man, I used to live close to there in Georgetown a while ago. So yeah, we're going to create a killer plan and who you need to involve from your team to achieve it. I'm going to highlight the top 8 strategies to massively increase your profits, and I'm going to show you how you can put structure in your business so everything stops coming back to you. And as a bonus tool, I'm going to share with you. How to set the right targets and the goals for your business. So look, I'm going to give you everything I got. And at the end of the call, if you want to get some more help, I'll show you how to do that. Make sure you take the best of notes. Like I said, we're going to be covering off a lot of great areas. So just type in the box. Does that sound like a plan? Nick, great to see you from Alexandria, Ontario. Awesome. So just type in the box if that's if you're at the right place, and if you're looking forward to covering off that today. Just yep. That's great, Wayne. Excellent, Lisa. Sure. Sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds like a plan, right, Gail? Awesome. Okay, guys. So perfect, Deborah. All right. So a little bit about my style. Okay, we got a lot of amazing tools, techniques, and principles that I want to show you guys. But in order to get through it all, okay, we're going to be moving fast. So please don't ask me to slow down. Take the very best of notes. Get rid of any distractions. And just pay really close attention, as it might be a while before I cover off this topic again. It's going to be very interactive. You guys are doing great right now. Richard, great to have you on the call. And I'm going to relate it back to your business. Okay, so I'm not going to provide stuff. And I'm not going to hold back any punches, just to let you know, because it's not going to help anyone. Look, I've been in the trade since 1993. I'm an industrial controls licensed electrician. Hey, Jeff. I own my own automation company, sold it successfully. And I just got to tell you, I'm sick and tired of contractors losing money and not getting their stuff right. And I'm just going to tell you straight truth so that you can rock the next 12 months. And that's what we're going to do. So let's get into this. So there are 3 places you could have been in the last 12 months. Okay. Picture your business as a car, right? The perfect place is obviously the driver's seat. You're calling all the shots, steering the direction, making things happen. But most contractors are not driving at all. Okay, most are in the passenger seat, and typically not happy where they're going, twitching, about the direction that the driver's taking them, whoever that might be. Maybe it's your customers, maybe it's your suppliers, maybe it's your team. Unaware of where they're being taken, and slowly moving to the back seat. Some contractors are in the in the trunk of the car, bound and gagged, kicking and screaming, led in a direction that they don't want. If that is you, I just want to let you know that right in your pocket there's a key or a button that will stop the car. Pop the trunk, release the tape and the rope so you can hop out and get into the driver's seat. Here's the thing. The question isn't on today's call, will your calendar be full for the next 12 months? That's a given. The question is, who will fill your diary? Who will fill your calendar, right? Who will fill what you do with your time? It's either going to be you on purpose today, or it's going to be other people with their agendas, all throughout the year. So our goal today is really to get you in the driver's seat. All right. So let's just take 10 seconds. And I just want you to tell me, where have you been in the last 12 months? Maybe passenger seat, back seat, trunk. Just type in the chat box, where have you been in the last 12 months? It'd be great to find out. In the back seat, Deborah says. Yeah, on the roof of the car, underneath the car, okay. In front of the car, I don't know if that's good or bad. I guess if the car is moving, that could be bad. Co-driving, but in the back a lot. Trying to catch the car. Nice, Richard. Jeff says the back seat, trying to look forward. That's awesome. As far as the fact of trying to look forward, right? Backseat driver, Dan. Yep, and Dan, I know what you're talking about. I think I've made it into the back seat, Sarah says, but it's a hatchback with the seat down, so it could kind of be in the trunk. Absolutely. Under the wheels, Laura. Co-driving. Okay. All right. So look, instead of having an empty calendar for the next year, our goal is really simple, right? And Nick's saying in the back seat. Excellent participation, guys. Is really simple, to preload it so that the next 12 months you can kind of strap on the jetpack like this kid and take off, so that we have a plan preloaded, so that really our focus is just the work, the plan. Decisions are made. Your calendar's locked in, and you're just going to work the plan, and that's liberating. And I'll tell you why. It's because you don't have to think so much anymore. You just become a doing machine that gets you the results you want. And this is especially key for all tradies, okay? As a fellow tradie, I get it, right? You have enough to be thinking about every day, just trying to get your jobs to be done properly, right? The work that you've got, that if you don't have this laid out, it's near to impossible to achieve the results you want, because you just end up in this cycle, okay? It's like Groundhog Day. And our goal is kind of this feeling, right? Certainty. You look forward to the next 12 months. It's almost like, you're getting ready to go on a vacation, right? You booked the tickets, you know where you're going, and you're so excited to get there. That's where I want you guys to be. So the first step in knowing where you want to be is you need to know where you're at right now. And this is what I call the contractor's ladder of success. So every contractor, I don't care if you're an electrical contractor. I don't care if you're a builder, a plumber, HVAC, design. I really don't care. You're going to fit into one of these levels in the contractor's ladder of success. And I need you to pay really close attention here. Okay? This is going to help position you in today's call from the perspective of knowing where you're at to know where you got to go. Okay? Once we get clear on where you're at on the ladder, then we can get really clear on what the next rung on the ladder is for you, okay? So let's get through this, okay? So there's 5 levels to the contractor's ladder of success. And again, as I'm going through this, please identify where you're at, okay? So let's go to the first level, okay? It's called startup, okay? And startup basically means that you're acting as the technician, okay? So, what do I mean by the technician? It means that you're actually doing a lot of the work. Notice that we got a wrench and a screwdriver, right? You're hands-on, and you're having to actually do the work. And really, one of the key success factors, and let me just explain what that is. The key success factor or factors is what is the key thing that's going to define you being successful at that level, okay? So for startup, it's about creating a wow factor, okay, for your clients, right? It's making sure your clients are happy, and that's at the startup level. Now, these revenue numbers are rough estimate, but I just want you to see that as we progress up this ladder, we progress with our profits and our revenue, and that allows us to do something which I call paying for our freedom, which we'll talk about in just a moment. So the next level up, okay, is basically the survival level, right? We've got work coming in. Maybe we've moved a little bit beyond doing the actual work, from being the technician, and we've got, somebody in our company that's, mainly us, that's running these job sites, directing the guys that actually do the technician type of work, okay? And at that level, really our focus is on increasing our leads and winning more jobs, more of them, and a big focus on systemizing how we start the job, how we run the job, and how we finish the job. And this is a key success factor at this level, is our progress to profit on every job. Because let's face it, you do not want to go to the next level, okay? And I'll show you in a second here. You do not want to keep progressing up this ladder, contractor's ladder of success, if you're not ensuring that you're profitable on every job. Because guess what? If you've got weaknesses, if you've got holes, if you've got cracks in your foundation at this level here, it's only going to be amplified as we grow the business, okay? And that's why we want to get this nailed down at this level, okay? So again, think about where you're at as we go through this. Next level, stability. We've got enough work coming in, okay, to the point that now we can actually put ourselves into a project management type of position. So we've got other people being maybe foremans of some form or fashion, running the job sites, okay, who in turn are managing the technicians, okay? And a project manager level is really where we want to maximize our profit and our time management, okay? So at this level, we definitely want to put systems in place, especially in the office, to run multiple jobs, okay? Hence a little folder and a little wheel here is about putting systems in place. And a key success factor is you have got to be able to understand your financials. I tell you right now, 90% of contractors that I engage with, and I'm talking about guys that are way above maybe this level in revenue, do not understand how to use their financials to make great decisions. And I'm not talking about making you an accountant. I'm just talking about being able to know where you're at regarding your job costing, your profits, understanding, and we'll get into this a little bit later, what types of jobs are making the most amount of money, what types of jobs are not. So that's the stability level. Next level up is scale. Okay, so we got the project manager in place. Okay, we now can move into looking at getting on board a general manager, and this is really a key place of scaling, because we're able to get the business to start running more and more without you. We can hire the right team. We got a system for that. We can replace yourself, and we can start delegating some of these roles. Okay. And the key success factor here is marketing and sales, okay? So that we got a machine of marketing and sales to constantly keep feeding the funnel, to keep feeding our business in a consistent way, getting us off this roller coaster of being super slow, super busy, and never really being able to make progress. The last level, I call it the sell. Now, it doesn't mean you have to sell your business, but you're basically, becoming a true entrepreneur, and you're thinking about putting in place exit strategies, or you're progressing towards that, whereby the business grows without you. Okay, whether you're there or not, the business is continuously growing. Okay, and our team is in control. Not so much just us being in control, but our team is in control. And really, one of the key success factors here is that the value of your business is increasing without you. Okay, now, this is really, really a great place to be, because you can duplicate your business if you want. You can hand it down to the next generation, or you can sell the business. But let's be clear, how many contracting businesses, after putting in 10, 20, 30 plus years, just take the keys, hang it up on the wall, sell their assets like their trucks and their vehicles and their tools, and that's all that they get out of 10, 20, 30 plus years of business. We need to stop that. Okay, and what basically happens as we move up this contractor's ladder of success is we increase the amount of time, that we're able to get back for us. Okay, and we're able to increase what I call our money flow. Okay, so right now, what I want you to do, take a look at that. Okay, is I want you to, I love this little slide, to identify where are you now and what's the next level for you. So I want you to type that into the chat box. Where are you now, and what's the next level look like for you? Take 10 to 15 seconds to do that. I'm just going to come back to this slide here. So just type in the chat box, where are you now? And obviously, if you identify where you're at now, what's the next level? And as you're doing that, I'm just going to mention something. Okay, here's a little thing to recognize. So we got Laura, so startup, Jim, survival, Okay. Again, guys, I want everybody to participate on this. Okay. Is basically, picture when I was an electrician, actually when I was an apprentice, one of the tricks one of the things the guys would do to what they would call us grunts at the time, not so politically correct, but whatever they call us grunts, because we'd grunt doing all the hard labor, was they would get us to see as an apprentice how far up we could jump up on a ladder, see how many rungs up we could jump without going from the first level to the second to the third. And I'll tell you what the end result was. We'd crush our knees, we would wipe out, we would fall. Okay. So here's the thing: once you find out where you're at in the ladder, don't think that you can just jump from this level up the scale. It doesn't work that way. Okay. Now you can go at different speeds. Okay, but you cannot jump the rungs, just like the rungs of a ladder, because what's going to happen is you're going to increase the risks of you hurting yourself, increase the risk of falling all the way. If you're at this level and you try to jump up to here, falling all the way back down, and it becomes really tough to get back up. So we want to make sure that we grow our business in these steps. Okay, so we got Jim in survival, Catherine startup, Lisa startup, 3+ years. Yeah, that's okay. Been in business less than a year, moved to Ottawa from Calgary. So in startup mode, yeah, that's totally cool. Yeah. Dan, survival. Nick, survival. Jeff, survival. Sarah, still in survival. But because of what I do, and I am so small, 2-person team, my revenues are nowhere near that. And that's totally cool, Sarah. Okay, it's just a gauge. Ross, GM, nice, Ross. Stability, need to make more systems, Martin. Yeah. Deborah, entrepreneur. Yep. Stability, Becky. Richard, survival, moving to stability with new partner, business. Awesome, exciting, Richard. Keith and Richard, we need to have that chat about that. So I know you booked in for a laser focus session. That's going to be exciting. Can't wait to work on that with you. Online to survival/stability, Keith. Okay, right. Startup, Kyle. Wayne, new project manager, heading to entrepreneur. Sweet, Wayne. And Lori, entrepreneur. Awesome. Okay, guys, great. So now that you know, okay, where you're at, you know what the next level is for you. And I love this guy. Never got to meet this guy, one of my mentors, Jim Rohn. I love this quote. He says, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you're falling to someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much. Okay, guys? All right. So let's talk a little about setting goals. And that's where it all starts, right? We need to get the goals to match where your business is at on the contractor's ladder of success. So it all starts with learning how to create smart goals. Just a little tiny study. Harvard University did a study. I know it goes back, but it's totally applicable here. That showed that 3% from the class of 1953 had written down their career goals. I'm just going to read it off here. In 1973, a team of researchers interviewed the same students from the class and found that the 3% who had written down their goals were worth more financially and happier than the other 97% combined. Okay, guys? It's a fact, right? If you set goals and you write them down, you're going to have a hell of a lot better chance of achieving them. And let's face it, if you don't write down your goals, well, you're going to get what you want. Or sorry, not what you want, whatever the world's going to give you, okay? Setting goals allows you guys to establish exactly where you want to go, i.e. your vision, right? It allows you to identify the journey you need to get there and helps you realize when you've arrived, right? So writing them down, really, it allows you to help monitor and improve achieving them, provide motivation during the tough times and help pull you through by seeing that you're in control. And it helps replace really fear and tension with focus and drive. And best of all, it allows you to share them with your team so they can help you get there. You're not alone, okay? But if you don't share your goals, then you are alone, okay? As far as people helping you out with them, because they don't even know what they are. So let's go through sort of how we create SMART goals. So it's a great acronym. It's been used all across different businesses. And SMART stands for specific. When you're creating a goal, you want to be specific enough in detail. Just saying that I'm going to increase sales by 10%, or sorry, just saying that I'm going to increase sales and not saying by what percentage doesn't mean anything. So the company increases sales by $1. Right? Does that mean we're achieving our goals? No. So we want to put specific enough detail in those goals. Next is measurable. Is there a way to identify you have reached it? In other words, is it tangible? Okay. If we put a specific number in, then we can measure it. But if you don't put a number, and it's that simple, guys. I want to reduce my hours by 5 hours in the next month. Okay, that's specific. And you can measure it. Hey, I'm down by 1 hour this week. I'm down by another hour the next week. Okay, or I want to delegate X by the next, 12 months or 90 days or 30 days. You can measure that because you put a number in there. Okay, attainable. In other words, is it something that you can truly obtain? You might want to go on a flight to the moon tomorrow, but really, is that attainable? I don't know. All right. Relevant. Does it really make sense for you to focus on this and where you're at? In other words, if you're not focusing on the right thing in the right order based upon where you're at in the contractor's level of success, it can be a disaster. Example, focusing on marketing and getting more work, and yet you don't know whether or not you're profitable on jobs, that could be a disaster. I've seen too many contracting businesses go under because they didn't get their understanding of their numbers and identifying if they're profitable, and then they go out and win a bunch of work, and then guess what? They go out of business. I'm going to be showing you an example of one of those that a lot of people on this call might be familiar with. Time-based. Is there a date when you're going to measure and see if it's achieved, right? So that's SMART goal setting, okay? So now let's get into this, okay? So you guys should have received this. I will make sure that you have. I'm going to put this into the chat box, so just give me a second here. Whoops. Give me one momento. I'm going to copy this. Okay, guys, I'm going to put this into the chat box. You should see a link. Right now, you should see a link. And when you when you click on that link, basically what you should get is this right here. Okay, you should get this document. So type in the chat box. No link yet, Richard MacArthur. Got it. Okay, no link. Got it. Okay, that's quick. Awesome. Okay, everybody got it? Okay, awesome. Okay, type in chat box. Beautiful. I want to make sure you guys got this. Okay, let's rock this out. Okay, everybody's got it. Sweet. Okay, so let's get into setting some goals for you. Okay, in the chat box, you should, like I said, have this link. And really, we got to focus in on your transformation for this year, and it starts with getting your goals written down. Okay, okay, Jason's got it. Awesome. Okay, we're going to take about 5 minutes here, maybe. So I'm going to walk you through this document and give you guys some time to fill this out. Now, if you aren't able to print it off, if you're not able to get it, that's okay. Just draw it on a piece of paper. Now, the document I sent you, you should be able to click into these boxes here, okay, and actually edit them, okay? So as an example, let me just click on here. You guys should get this, and you can type in net profit. Maybe as an example, we're going to walk through this in a second. You're going to type in, your net profit right now is, 100K. So 100K, and in 12 months, you want it to be 200K. Okay, you should be able to type that in, okay? All right, now, you don't have to just use these tools for you. I'm heavily focusing in on getting you to use these tools for your team as well, all right? So it's not just isolated to you guys, okay? So let's get back into this baby here. All right, so let's crank through this. So in 12 months' time, let's start with your net profit, okay? And there's a reason I start in this order, okay? Because it's critical to make sure that we start off with ensuring that we're profitable, right? So net profit, which is how much money you've left after all the expenses are paid, okay? Now, you're just going to keep this to yourself. For my clients, I want you to fill this out, and I want you to send it to me. Because we're going to be using this at the 90-day planning session in just a short little while. Okay, and then we'll break these things down into a lot more detail for you and review your plan. So, everybody on the call. So if you made 100K last year and you want to make 200K in profit in the next 12 months, put 100K, in the now column and 200K in the 12-month column, okay? And next is to look at the revenue we need to achieve that, okay? So if your net profit is 10% right now, you would have to get $2 million in sales to make the 200K in profit, in net profit. Does that make sense? Okay. Laura says cannot download. I clicked the link, but nothing comes up. Okay. Maybe Stephanie on the call, you can help Laura and Lori out. That would be great. But ladies, not to worry. Grab a piece of blank paper. I can't either. Oh, okay. All right. I will get Stephanie to send that to you. I got that too, Sarah Kidder. It went into downloads on my Mac. Yeah, so you should be able to just open up the download it. Regardless, let's not let technology get in the way. I want you guys to grab a pen and paper. Okay, it's not about perfection; it's about taking action. So let's just draw this out. Okay, on a piece of paper, make it really simple. Maybe Stephanie, you can resend them the link in the chat box. Stephanie, can you just confirm that you can hear me? That would be great. Yes, 1 second. Okay, perfect. Stephanie's going to try and help us out with this. Okay, regardless, let's keep moving forward. Okay, so you can write it down. You can write it down on a piece of paper. Okay, so, okay. All right, so if you made an example 10% net profit and you wanted to make 200K in profit, you would have to bring in $2 million in order for you to hit that target. Okay, let's go into the next area, right? So we covered off net profit, covered off revenue. Talk about the type of work. Maybe you want to do more service work or expand, with some new services. Maybe an electrical contractor, you want to start offering generators. Who knows, right? Or focus on retrofits. Maybe plumbing or HVAC. You want to focus more on water treatment services or maintenance contracts, or maybe as a builder or renovator. Maybe your focus is going to be on seniors, okay, who are looking for designs that can accommodate their accessibility needs. I know that's a big thing out there. It's going to become a huge market, and dealing with those people, they tend to have a lot of money because they're in retirement mode. Okay, whatever it is for you, just type the type of work that you do now, or write that down. And what is the over the next 12 months? Where do you want to focus on? The type of work, right? It's important for us to get clear on that, because if we don't write these things in and set these targets on results, nothing's going to change. For each of these, guys, don't forget to add notes. Notice I've put a stop, start, and keep column. So you want to go in this order. You want to identify what you need to stop. Ideally, you want to pick at least 1 to 2 things you're going to stop in order to allocate enough time to accomplish these goals. Okay, so for roles, now we're moving on to roles here. Think about the roles you want to stop doing. Okay, in the next 12 months, and which ones are you doing now, or which ones aren't you doing that you want to do more of, right? So this might be a small box for you to type in all the hats you're wearing right now, and that's okay. All right. So we want to identify, though, in the next 12 months, which hats you want to give up and which hats should you be focusing more in on, right? Going back to that contractor's ladder of success, we want to be making sure that we're wearing the right hats at the right level that we're at. So next is, how many hours are you working now? Okay, this should be fairly clear for you guys. And how many are you going to be working in the next 12 months, right? Do you want to stop working on the weekends or the nights, or write these down, okay? And any notes that go with it. Maybe it's slow getting below 50 hours a week or 40 hours a week. Maybe those are some of the things that you want to do over the next 12 months. All right, I'm going to get myself a glass of water, and I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to fill out this document. Again, if you had troubles downloading it, not to worry. Okay, we're not here to perfect it. We're here to rough it and get things done. Okay, so type in any question you guys have. Again, I'm going to just grab a glass of water here. I'll give you guys a minute or so to finish that up. And if you need a little bit more time, to complete it, no worries. You can take some of this home for homework, all right? Or I can show you, if you're struggling with this a bit, how to get some more help in the end, okay, before the call's over. Okay, so just take a minute, guys, and fill that out, and start at the top and just work your way through. And again, for my clients, once you get this done, please send it over. That'd be great. And we'll go from there. So I'll just mute myself and then go get myself a nice glass of water here. Okay. Okay, guys, hopefully you're making progress on this. I'll give you guys another 10, 15 seconds to finish it up. I was just talking with Stephanie there, and so if you guys had problems getting this, she will send that through to you. Just send an email to support@profitforcontractors.com. I'll get Stephanie to put that into the chat box. And again, when you click on it, it will tend to open up in your internet browser. So hopefully that works for you. And if not, no worries. Just draw it out. And again, this is not about perfection. This is about roughing it and getting a plan together for you guys. Okay, so last little tip. Sarah asked, can you go over roll again? I was sneezing and missed what you said. Awesome. Yeah, so when we're talking about roll, that's a very important one. And I'm going to go in a little bit more detail on that in just a minute, Sarah. But really when we're talking about roll is, what's your role right now? And you might have a whole bunch of hats in here. And more importantly, over the next 12 months, what are some of the roles that you want to stop doing? Okay. So, for you, is it going out and doing all the quotes? Do you want to, in the next 12 months, keep doing that? Okay. I personally, helping you out here would say no. Okay. We want you focused more in on engaging with more Class A clients and growing the business. Okay. So does that answer your question, Sarah? Just type that. Yes, thanks. No problem. Okay. So, guys, now we've covered off what we want. It's time to get into some of the ways that we can make these goals happen, okay? We're going to be covering off a couple of key areas and how you can implement them and the tools to support them, okay? And the first being the importance of structure, and then we're going to get into the top 8 areas to increase your profits. As we go through each of these areas, okay, I want you to take notes on each and determine which of the strategies resonate with you. More than one might actually resonate with you, which is highly the chance, but I just want you to try to see which one really sticks out, because we want to focus on just picking one strategy to start with, okay? I don't want you to get overwhelmed, so you might see a lot of great strategies. Again, you can write down more than one, but try and just pick one that you're going to focus in on, one area, okay? So that we can use that when we move into the contractor's toolbox and when we move into the goal smasher tool to help create your plan, okay? So let's get into these. So the problem with a lack of structure, the problem if you don't get this right is the minute that you take your foot off, the business is the minute the team starts dogging it, right? Or the business starts going south, right? Business slows down, gets out of control. You got a lack of structure if that happens, right? You might experience it where your customers wait for your arrival from vacation holding off and giving you jobs because they don't trust your team or don't trust the business to function and provide the quality of service that they want, if you're not there, right? So the next indicator that you don't have structure or there's an issue with structure is the bigger you get, the worse things get. Okay, if you think, if I just get a little bit bigger, hire more crews, more people in the office, get more work, everything will be better, and then the reality is it gets worse. This is definitely due to significant lack of not having structure. And if you feel like you got too much in your head, everything needs you, and you find it hard to build a strong team, this is another indicator that you got a lack of structure. I call it an undiagnosed version of schizophrenia, right? You're the bookkeeper, you're the invoicer, you're the technician, you're the foreman, you're all of the above, right? And on the contractor's ladder of success, this is typically between startup and stability if there's a lack of structure. And every day is like a spider web, right? I mean, anything that happens, it comes back to you. Okay, it's great for a spider, bad for a business owner. And in the end, the passion and hard work is not enough, right? The business runs you and you don't end up running the business. And here is I mentioned about somebody or a business, it's a little sad story. This is a sad case of not having the right structure in place. It's not that they had a shortage of work. I mean, look at all these clients that they had. I mean, some serious big clients, right? It was a lack of structure, which typically a lack of structure results in a lack of cash flow. And they basically go hand in hand. Some of you might have picked up some of their work. This is GavTech. They came to a workshop that I did, realized they needed my help badly. They were supposed to start with me, and before our appointment, which was 2 weeks later, they filed for bankruptcy, which is really sad. I mean, you think about this. Founded in 2001, over a decade old, tens of thousands of hours invested, multiple divisions, family business, over 100 employees. I think they're at 120. Laid off. Like, that's sad. So, I mean, hundreds of people's family lives affected, dozens of projects on the go, millions of dollars on the books, and all gone. Okay. They had a lot of really good things going, but one thing that they didn't have is a lack of structure. And this is a case where they tried to jump up. Again, this is my outside perspective, right? And through talking with them, they tried to jump up the contractor's ladder of success. And this is what the result was, which is a sad story. So here's what happens if you get this right. Delegation sticks. Clarity, you got clarity of roles, goals, and accountability. We know who we need and we know how to get them and know when we can afford to get them. And really, at the end of the day, the business pays for our freedom. So let's get into 3 hot principles about this, okay? So just like in your house, it's only strong as the foundation. It has to be solid, okay? It needs to be able to support growth and grow the structure more and more without it being dependent upon you, okay? This is about leveraging your team. And I use the analogy of a bus, right? If you're the bus driver, you won't know who to keep on the bus. You won't know who needs to move to a different seat on the bus or when to stop to get the dead weight off the bus if you don't have the right structure. Great book, by the way. You might want to write this down. It's called Good to Great by Jim Collins. I highly recommend it. And that's where that bus analogy comes from. So getting the order and the approach is right, okay? It's very important. This is an organizational chart of a basic contracting company. And by the way, not every one of these boxes means that you have to have that many people. These are the roles that are involved in a contracting business, okay? And let me be clear about something. Just a little thing to keep in mind, and this is super huge in building an organizational chart and structure. It is not based upon the people that you have. It is based upon the roles that you need, okay? So you must have structure to last the test of time. We want to identify the basic structure for you, and we need to be clear on what it needs to look like in the next 12 months, okay, based upon the contractor's ladder of success. Number 2 principle is we have to, people have to have a well-defined communication. You could be called a contract, whatever, but it should be written as to what is expected of them now and in the future. And let me ask you a question, is this level, guys, I need your participation here, is this level actually level? Take a second and tell me. I'll give you 5 seconds. Is this level actually level? All right, let's see who passed the test. Nick, Jeff, Laura, Lori, Sarah, Catherine, Dan, Deborah, Kyle, Lisa, Richard, Jim, Jason, Gail. Oh my God, great. Okay, awesome. Ross, yeah, awesome. Okay, Martin, no. Okay, get ready for this. I'm in a room. I'm at an accounting firm presenting in front of a bunch of their contracting clients, and I asked this question. There's two accountants in the room. Okay, and I asked this question, and I don't know, Richard, maybe you were in the room, Richard MacArthur, and the two accountants said it was level. So what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is that in their eyes, they truly believed it was level. Okay, my wife's an accountant, so I'm allowed to bash the accountants a bit. Here's the reality: if you don't define what is, what is level, if I didn't define what was level to them, then in their eyes, they're seeing things through the wrong set of lenses. So it's no different than our team. Okay, I take for example, one of my clients was on the call today, and having to go out and see all of the job sites because we want to make sure it's done right is not due to a lack of effort. It's due to a lack of structure. We need to know, our team needs to know what our definition is of getting the job done right the first time. And if we don't have some sort of written document to outline what that is, then it's just giving lip service. Okay, and then it always comes back to us. We need to have checklists. We need to have things that I can systemize and tell these people what they got to do and bring it back so that we can bring it back to the team to know that it's been done right the first time. Here's an example of putting contracts in place. We also got here an induction process. When we go to hire somebody, we got to make sure that we're training them on what meets the criteria of our business, right? Getting them to know who the people are, getting them to know how to answer the phone, getting them to be clear on health and safety, and on and on and on and on. Okay. Otherwise, it's going to come back to us and bite us, even if the person wants to truly help us, because we can only put so much into our brains. Okay, and then it starts dropping. Okay, so next is really the third thing is we've got to be able to create a system to find, keep, and attract the right people with a hiring process. Okay, no different than a sports team. Okay, we need to have bench warmers. Okay, if you wait until things are so crazy and you start looking for people, and we're going to talk about the seasons of business in just a second, you're going to have a hell of a time finding people. And probably the people that you're going to find during the busy season is going to be the leftover, deadbeat employees because they've been let go or don't have a job because they suck. Okay, so we want to have a hiring process. Little tiny tip on this. Do not get people to send you their resumes, okay? Honestly, you can take their resume, that's okay, but you got to get them. I highly advise you get them fill an application form. This is something my clients use. Why? Let's face it. If you want people that are going to work for you, then they have to do a little bit of work to get the opportunity to work for you. The best way to do this is with an application form that they have to fill out. They have to take the time to fill out. Seriously, they can't take the time to do this, then what kind of employee are you going to have? How well do you think that they're going to fill out your work orders and follow your systems? Yeah, exactly. So here's one of my clients, Cameron Han from Jazz Tech. Some of you guys might know Cam. Great guy. Less than 2 months, he was able to improve his communication, accountability, set the right expectations, and get his business moving in the right direction without him. Okay. Richard said, for the hiring process, how would an app work for hiring subcontractors? That's a great question, Richard. So in hiring subcontractors, by the way, you could use that application form to create a series of questions that you want to ask these people. So that on the phone, that they are having to do a little bit of work and asking and answering the right questions based upon your application form. Okay, so that could be injected into your hiring process. Does that help, Richard? Awesome. Love it. Okay, so here's a question for you. Just type it in the chat box. What impact would having this type of structure and systems impact on your business? Just take 10 seconds. We're going to take 10, 15 seconds, type that in. What sort of impact would that have? More money, Richard says. Absolutely. Yeah, reduce stress. Deborah, more profitability. Yeah. Better control and accountability. Yeah, absolutely less stress, Dan. Yeah. Yeah, better communication. Yeah, more control. Clarity. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it would have a positive impact as have very little now. Yes, Keith. Okay. Uh, Building better team. Totally. Less stress, more money, more control. Nick says clarity. Absolutely, guys. Okay, so here's the thing, right? So and what Catherine says, I'm one man show, so it would give me someone to delegate to. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Okay. So as I said, just pick one from what we covered off. Okay. I know there's a lot of great strategies. Kyle says efficiency in some of these strategies, but I want you to just try and pick one. Okay. Write down lots of notes here, but try and pick one from what we covered off. Is it structure, putting a organizational structure in place? Is it defining the roles or creating a proper hiring process? What is it? Okay. Wayne says a stronger team, it would be the effect. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So just take 10 seconds to do this. Okay. Which one are you going to pick? Oh, Laura says better cash flow, big time. So which one is going to be? Is it structure diagram, defining the roles, creating a proper hiring process? Let's just take 10 seconds to type this in. Yeah, for sure, Richard. Structure. Totally. Totally. Okay. You got defining roles. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, proper hiring process. Yeah, excellent, guys. Okay, so let's keep moving forward for the sake of time. Lisa says structure and define roles. Laura says a hiring and roles. Jeff says a hiring process. Keith says structure, operational systems. Oh my God, Keith, that's huge. Yep, big time. Okay, let's keep cranking it. Okay, so lack of profit. Moving into the next area. Okay, is lack of profit. So the problem if you don't get this right, team. So again, hit the reset button. Moving on to the next area, which is lack of profit. Just as some key examples for you. You got this right if you got if you don't know where the holes in your profits are right now. Okay, that the profits are going into your suppliers' hands, your team's hands, your customers' hands, but not your hands. You got a problem with this, and you don't have it identified properly. If the harder you work, the less that you make. Okay, it's like Groundhog Day over and over. That this profits is an issue. If years of sacrifice results in dismal change. Okay, here's what happens if you do get it right. We stop working for nothing, and in some cases less than nothing, and start making what we're worth, not as tradies, not as managers, but as owners, and ideally as entrepreneurs. Okay, you guys are business owners. Okay, you're entrepreneurs, which is the next level up. Too many times, if you add up all the hours and the hard work as a business owner that you put in, and the stress, and how much you have to think about this business, you are basically the least paid person in the company, and you're taking the highest risks. For what? So it doesn't have to be this way, guys. Okay? So, if you get this right, you start to see the gold that's right under your nose, and I'm going to show you some of that gold in just a second. If you get this right, not only do we have a clear plan to create more profits, but the team has a plan for the rest of for the next 12 months and beyond to find profits. So let's get into these 8 hot principles to more profits. We're going to be touching on more of them as we get into the contractor's toolbox, but these are just sort of the top ones that that I'm going to recommend that you seriously think about. And as I go through them, again, take lots of notes. And our objective, you might say, hey, I want to get all of these. Well, okay, that's great, and it's totally possible. But I just want you to focus in on which one are you going to pick and bring into our plan before we finish up today. Okay? So let's do this. Going to go through them relatively quickly, okay? Again, I'll show you guys how to get more help if you need it in these different areas. So let's focus on the first one here. And by the way, yes, I have them labeled number 1, number 2 to 8, but it doesn't mean they're in that priority order. It's just a list, okay, of them. First thing one of the first things we want to look at is the types of work. You need to know which types of jobs you're profitable with, okay? You need to break them down. Is it residential? Is it commercial? Is it industrial? Okay. What types of work? Okay. Is it doing generators? Is it doing, is it service, the service department that is the most profitable. You need to have these things broken down. And this is definitely one of the things that, when I'm working with my clients, you want to delegate this to your accountant or bookkeeper. Okay, the person doing your books, man. We're paying them good money. Let's get them to actually help us make more money. Okay. So I got a client of mine, just to give you a quick example, great installation company. When I started with them, only 10% of their work was commercial. We did a breakdown, and 45% gross profit was on their commercial work on average, which is awesome. And they were only making about 10 or 12% on tract home builders. Okay. That was about a year and a half ago. 60% of their business, keep in mind, going back a year and a half ago, it was only about 10%. 60% of their business now is commercial. Imagine the impact on their profits. Huge. And by the way, these commercial clients are a hell of a lot easier to work with than these tract home builders. I'm not saying get rid of tract home builders. I'm saying in this example. So types of work. Your crews. Another little story on this one. I don't care how many crews you got. I can guarantee you that your crews are not all the same. Asked the client one time, which one of his crews was the most, efficient and profitable before we did a study and got the numbers. And he said, well, this crew over here. I said, why did you pick that crew? He said, well, because they're the most experienced. So obviously they're the best. I said, okay, sure. I said, what about this new crew that you got? Oh, these young guys? Oh, man, they don't have the experience. So no, they wouldn't be the most productive. I said, all right. Did a study. The more experienced crew was 30% less productive than the young guys, the new crew. Can anybody tell me really quickly what was the factor that what was the reason for this? I'll give you guys 5 or 10 seconds and then I'll tell you. So what was the factor that the older crew was doing, even though they were most experienced? What were they doing that caused them to be less efficient? Richard MacArthur, you got it. Okay, so we got think too much. Nope. We got Gail up to speed on the techniques. Okay, not bad. Jason says did it the same way. Okay, Richard MacArthur gets the golden star. Too many smoke breaks. Absolutely, these guys were taking smoke breaks seriously every 5-10 minutes. They were having 10-15 smoke breaks a day. Okay. And it wasn't that they weren't more experienced. They were, and they were actually better when they did the work from a skill set perspective. But nobody told them, and I know this sounds crazy, but nobody put in place the rules of the game and say, no, man, you only have your breaks at this time of the day. Nobody held them accountable. Within 2 weeks, massive game changer. Okay, why? Because we put structure in place and we put rules of the game in place. But first of all, what did we have to do? Had to identify which crews were the most efficient and profitable. Okay, so next, this is just a quick slide to say you got to back it up with systems. Okay, Martin says less open-minded. Yeah, that's also something else too. Yeah, teach an old dog new tricks, right, Martin? So tools to track the jobs, you got to have that in place, guys. Make sure you've got systems for this, and for my clients, make sure you get access to this, to these templates. Here's one of my clients, massive change. We focused in on how they are going to start the jobs, run the jobs, and finish the jobs. And within a month, we identified a handful of massive leaks in profit that right now have been capped, and now they're making more profits. Okay. All right. Number 3, customers. Guys, you got to know which customers are A, B, C, and D, and you got to be able to rate them. You got to identify, especially who are the A's so that you can take care of them like they're A's because they're awesome, and who are the D's especially to get rid of them because they're dead weight. I'm going to show you guys how to do that, how to get access to this. This is a scoring analysis tool on your clients. And as well, here's done for you letters that you can send to your class A's and D's, which is over here in here's your A's over here, here's your C's and D's over here, okay? But you want to get rid of your class D's as fast as possible, and so you can spend more time on your A's and get more A's and B's, okay? Let's keep rolling. Number 4, progress to profit. Guys, you got to make sure, as I mentioned before, in the contractor's ladder of success, that you're progressing to profit. That means that we're making profit as the job progresses. Number 5, actual versus estimated. Like, oh my God, this is huge. How many of my clients, after we compare what they quoted and what actually happened, was 2 totally different stories? Okay? If your quoting process is off, if you're not even quoting to be profitable and you don't even know it, remember we talked about, going from startup and then, we go to, moving up into stability. We got to make sure that we're profitable, that we ensure that our quotes are profitable. My God, this is huge. If you've got a leak in your quoting process, it's going to be amplified every time we grow the business, every time we do another job. Okay, so make sure we get that. Our suppliers, this is huge. I'm going to reference a couple of great suppliers. I think they're great suppliers. Boone Plumbing and Desco. They help promote this event, by the way. The great suppliers. And guys, you got to engage with your suppliers. Okay, you got to tell them what you're looking for and what you need to see if they can provide it to you. Okay, stocking special products for you. Delivering products for you. Making sure that they're offering some form of training beyond just product and service for you. Like, really, your suppliers could be a huge part to you being profitable. And we got Laura saying the clients are looking for the cheapest quote. Well, Laura, if that's all that we differentiate ourselves on is the cheapest quote, well, then that's all that we're going to be left with. We have to educate our clients on what we can provide to them beyond price. Okay, and Laura, we can talk about that a little bit later. Okay. Next is performance ratios. Every single trade has got performance ratios. Okay. If it's how many shingles get put up per hour, if it's how much drywall gets put up per hour, how many plugs get put on the wall, in a certain period of time, whatever those performance ratios are, you've got to know what they are specific to your industry and measure against them. Okay. And here's one of the last ones. Just like my dad, who's a farmer, he's also was a tower crane operator, so fellow tradie. You got seasons in your business, okay? There's winter time, spring, summer, and autumn in the cycle of our contracting business. So we got to know these things, okay? So that we're focusing in on what we've got to do regarding profits and our activities at those different seasons. I'll get into this a little bit deeper, but just give you a quick example. Guys, when peak season is coming, that is the best time to get rid of D's, filter D clients, and create more raving fan A clients. It's also a great way to increase your profits by increasing your prices because you're crazy busy. And I call it hay season. Okay, right now it's like a freaking snowstorm out here in Ottawa. Actually, it's a school day what do you call it there? Day for the kids. Anyways, my dad's not baling hay now. Why? Because this is not the season to bale hay. Just like in your business, there's times to maximize profits. We got to identify what they are so that we can get the most amount of hay, i.e. the most amount of profits off of the field. Okay. Lisa, what's your opinion about compromising your gross margins to keep your crew busy when you have some slack in your schedule? Okay. Lisa, I'm just going to quickly address that question. I got to keep to time here. So Lisa's question, what's your opinion about compromising your gross margins to keep your crew busy when you have some slack in your schedule? Well, Lisa, if you set a budget to ensure that you hit certain targets throughout those certain peak seasons, so you can put some money in the bank that if you do choose to reduce your gross profit, it's not going to affect your overall gross profit, then yes. But if you don't have awareness of what the effects of your break even is, and you're reducing your gross profit during times that are slow, if it is costing you, your shirt and bringing you below a certain range of profitability for the overall span of the year, then I wouldn't recommend it. And that's why you want to set budgets, and I'll show you some examples of that. Setting budgets throughout the year, so that you can use the peak season to help you get through the slow season or the slower periods. Does that help answer your question, Lisa? Oh, yeah, it's a snow day. Yeah, for sure. Snow day. That's what it's called. Sorry, guys. Not a school day, snow day. Yes, awesome. Okay, here's Joe. Great guy. Been working with Joe for a while. Awesome heavy equipment mechanic. Look at this. They were losing 130K in non-billables every year. They're up now 37% in sales and up 75% in net profit. Did it happen in a day? No. But what did he do? Well, we focused in on one area being non-billables, and we changed it. Okay? So out of those areas, I want you to have picked one. If you had these strategies in place, guys, one, if not multiple of these strategies in place over the next 12 months, what impact would it have on your profits? Just type that into the chat box. That would be great. Just type that into the chat box. What do you got? Huge. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Absolutely. Okay. So Keith says huge. Richard Hughes, Catherine. Yeah, more time. Enormous, of course. Type of work. Yeah, more time for me. Wayne. Yeah, more time available. Lisa. Great participation, guys. I'm telling you, I'm just loving this because you guys, that means you're going to get the most out of the heightened awareness. Absolutely. More profits and time. Excellent. Okay, let's keep cranking this out. Time, money, Deborah says, sorting out actual versus estimate would be amazing. Goes back to our chat about quoting the other day. Sarah, let's nail that, okay? Like, seriously. You know, Sarah, one of my clients on the call today, you know, had a client come back to them that they'd, well, like I said, she'd quoted a job, you know, a year and a half ago, and after we started adjusting the pricing, realizing that she's got to be, you know, hit a certain level of profitability. You know, the client's coming back going, hey, you know, I'm ready to move forward. Well, yeah, that was a year and a half ago. My price has changed. Okay, guys, we are in this to have a profitable business. We're not here to run a daycare, you know, center of giving away things for free. So, you know, in Sarah's case, she went back, and Sarah, be great to find out how that went with a new price. Okay, we're only going to do work if we're going to make money on it. Period. Okay, awesome. So you can do it the old way, driving blind with your profits, or the new way, controlling your profits. So type in the box here. You can do it the old way, working your ass off for little, in some cases no return, or driving blind with your profits in business. Or the new way, okay, taking back control and maximizing your profits, making all the hard work that you put into this business, not just next week, next month, next year, but over the years worthwhile, okay? So everybody type in the chat box. And this is more for you guys to type in whether you want to keep doing it the old way or a new way. Because psychologically, you know, it's giving you, you know, the mental awareness to say, yeah, I'm going to do things differently. Okay. So Wayne, the new way. Laura, Lori, Sarah, Catherine, Lisa, Becky, Nick. Awesome. Awesome. Great. Okay, guys, let's keep cranking it. All right. So, you know, I got to say something here. Imagine if you take those 8 strategies and we just over 12 months increased, you know, worked on each, and each one increased our profits by 2%. Okay. So on those 8 strategies, that would be an increase of 16% on your profits. Okay. So team, and by the way, it's way more than 2% in working on your actual versus estimated, and identifying your crews and looking at the seasons of business. But I'm just, you know, lowballing this and saying 2%. I mean, God, can you afford to give up 16%? I can't. Okay. So some things gets in the same thing. Need to make change. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely, Deborah. Okay. So by now, you might have picked a strategy from each area or even more. Okay, guys. So now we're going to get into the contractor's toolbox of strategies. Remember, it's easy. You can look at this as getting overwhelmed, but try not to do that. We're just right now picking the strategies, and then I'm going to show you how to create the plan for them. Okay. So just, you know, chillax on that front if you're getting a little bit anxious. Okay. No worries. We're going to work this out. Okay. So remember, our objective is that by the time we finish looking at them, we should have picked at least one strategy for each pillar. Let me be clear about the strategies or about the pillars before we get into this tool I call the goal smasher. Okay. There's 3 pillars. Okay. If you haven't picked it up by now, then that's okay. Just to get into them. The first one is time and team. Okay. If we don't get, and that's the first area you got to focus in on, okay, with you guys, is that if we don't get the time back, if we don't start delegating things, stopping things, making sure we're focusing in on the right things, putting systems in place to give us back time, you are not going to have any time to work on these other 2 pillars. That's it, period, okay? And you'll be behind the 8 ball all the time. The next, after we focus in on time, so that's the first pillar, is the focusing on profits and cash. We need to make sure that we're maximizing our profits and our cash with the work that we do before we start focusing on marketing and sales. I've seen at least 3 contractors go out of business. One of them you saw, okay, Gaff Tech, terrible story, because they jumped right into here and they didn't get this identified at all, or at a very small scale, and they never had the right structure in place to manage things properly. So it just became a tornado. Okay, so let's focus in on the first area we talked about. So the first pillar to focus in on is time and team, which obviously involves leadership, right? So as I mentioned, you might have already picked one of the strategies on this page from what we've covered off, but take a couple of minutes and review the other strategies, okay? And see if another one really jumps out at you, okay? I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes. We're right on track here for time. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to go through this and to pick the one strategy that you're going to take and carry into the Goal Smasher tool that we'll get into shortly. So I don't have time to go through all of them, but I'll read off a few that have had some crazy impact. Let me first of all have a sip of my coffee here. Nothing like a good cup of joe. All right, so let's see, a couple of the ones that jump out. How to create systems to delegate, number 6. Huge. Okay, if you don't know how to create, how to delegate, man, that's something that we want to work on. Okay, because in order for you to grow your business, you're going to have to get a handle of that, right? Right, Martin? Right, Richard? Sarah? Okay. And again, if we don't have clarity of the structure, then how the heck are you going to know what to delegate, right? So that's one of the key things. Yes, coach. All right. What else we got here? How to start a job right here. Project startup checklist. Oh my God, guys, you gotta get that into play, because if you don't start a job properly, then you've already lost the game before you got into it. Okay. It's like imagine a team getting on the field. Imagine we're playing hockey, and there's no practices. We don't practice before the game. We don't research who we're up against. We don't lay out a plan for how we're going to go up against the team that we're going to be playing on Friday night. Well, guess what? The chances are you're going to get your butt kicked. Okay, so you need to start off a job properly in order to be able to run the job properly and to be able to close out the job properly. Okay, we got about another 30 seconds here. This one's a must, which I'm going to show you I'm going to show you today. Goal Smasher, which is creating a 90-day plan, right? You want to break down your goals, typically, these 12-month goals into 4 chunks of 90 days, 4 quarters. There's 4 quarters in the year, okay? And you want to do that so that you can break it into bite-sized chunks, so you know what to do week on week, month on month, to know that you're making progress. Okay, so guys, type in the chat box, which one have you picked? All right, and for my clients, make sure you've got this picked so that when we do our 90-day planning session, that we're going to be able to get into deep into this. Okay, so Becky, how to place job ads to get grade A hires. Oh my God, that's huge, right? Number 6, Sarah, sweet. Ross, 90-day plan. Inducting new employee, Nick. Jim, creating systems to delegate. Keith, number 6. Okay, awesome. Extra workday advantage. Nice. Lisa, that's a killer tool. Number 6 and number 12, Jeff. Deborah, managers that manage and 90-day action plan. Nice. Creating managers that can manage. Oh my God. Yep, for sure. 90-day plan. Quality control, Richard. Yep. How to create a system to delegate. Yes, for sure. Martin. Checklist, Gail. Primary goal for me, then area we are going to specialize in to set ourselves apart from the crowd. Oh my God, we focus in on that. I'll touch on that when we get into marketing and sales. Okay. Can you explain number 2? The extra workday advantage. Yeah, that is, when we're looking at managing our time, Lisa, it's about putting a plan in place so that we're actually getting back an extra work day. okay? So that we're able to delegate things, so that we're able to schedule our day, so that we're getting actually an extra work day back, okay? So a work day is working on the business, okay? And being able to have that extra time, okay, Lisa? Yeah, no problem. Richard, create structure to last. Yeah, delegate accountability audit. Okay, awesome. Okay, guys, let's move forward. So remember, pick one to achieve your goals. So you guys got that written down. Let's keep rocking. Next, whoopsie, the old clickety-click, harbor click. Okay, next is what? Oh, we got Catherine saying define key performance indicators. Yeah, Catherine, that's huge. Yep. Okay, and just move this up. So the next strategy to pick, or next pillar to focus in on is, like I said, profits and cash flow, okay? Take 2 minutes, same thing, pick one strategy that we're going to focus in on and put it in place for you. Again, I'll read off a few ones. You guys pick away. And then we'll move into sales and marketing, okay? Again, this is key for you guys because we're going to transfer these goals into your the Goal Smasher, okay? So I don't know, I just love that name. Okay, so let's see here. Some of the key ones. Number one, people, if you do not know how to read your financials, and even if you know how to read them, are you using them to get better results? If you're not, I'm telling you right now, that is huge. Okay, that would be one of them for sure. Progress to profit dashboard. This is an on-site and in the office tool. Basically whiteboard to identify which projects you got. So number 5, and are you making progress to profit? So if it's a 2-week job, or say it's a 1-month job, and we are an electrical contractor, and by the end of the first week we should have the service installed, and by the second week we should start working on the lighting. Well, you should know that. If that's what we quoted, then we should be tracking that to make sure that we're on point. Otherwise, you're going to get to the end of the game and go, hey man, did we make any money? Oh no, we lost a bunch of money. Well, why? What happened? Oh, I guess Johnny never did retrofits before, and so it took him double the amount of time. Like, guys, we got to know this stuff, right? I mean, in sports, when the pitcher isn't pitching, what do? You get the pitcher off the mound and you replace him with another pitcher. Why? Because you want to win the game, okay? That's the same thing as progress to profit dashboard. Market versus margin. Oh my gosh, guys, it's huge. It's a simple calculation. If you are not using a formula, if you're looking at getting your gross profit at 20% and all you're doing is multiplying, say we got a lemonade stand and we want to make 20% gross profit, and if your answer on this number 9 is I'm just going to sell it for $1.20, you're missing out on about 4% margin just on that example alone. I can explain that to you guys if you want later on. Okay, cash flow. Oh my God, this is huge. You should have a cash flow spreadsheet predicting form to make sure that you guys are predicting your cash flow so that you don't go broke, and you're managing the money going in and going out. You want to have an accounts receivable board whereby you can't run away from your AR and you know what to collect and when to collect, and it's not just based upon which ones are old. It's based upon focusing in on the bigger ones, okay? And you want to be able to have that so you can delegate. So much of this here, 90% of all this is delegatable to your bookkeeper, to your accountant, okay? Huge percentage of this is all delegatable. All right, so what do we got? Richard, using the break even. Yep, huge. The calculator, yep. Number 1, yep. Deborah, huge is charging on change orders and cash flow prediction. Yep, for sure. Wayne, read the financials better in cash flow predicting control. Lisa, number 6. Keith, 1 and 2. Nick, predicting your growth and knowing when you can afford to hire you. That's huge. How to better obtain payments in a timely manner. Sweet. Jeff, 1 and 3. Martin, charging on change orders. Yeah, Martin. Oh my God, that's huge, guys. Number 8. Again, if we're not tracking it and don't have a system for it, then you're going to miss out on a ton of money. Number 1 and number 8 says Sarah. Number 1 and 9, Dan. Okay, awesome. Okay, let's keep cranking forward here. Next, moving on the last pillar, and Laura's got markup versus margin. Yeah, that's big time. That all comes back to how you quote jobs. And if you don't know the difference between the two, I can definitely educate you on that. All right. So again, there are no excuses, guys, to master your sales and marketing. And remember, each of these has been tested and measured, so I know that they work. A few ones, again, same thing. Pick one, okay? Core one. Again, you can write down others, but we're going to try and pick one core one. A few ones that are game changers, by God, is this baby right here. Number 3, rating. Or actually, number 1, filtering your clients, right? It sort of goes hand in hand with number 3. Okay. Big time, guys. We've got to get rid of the Class D clients. Okay. If all they are is after pricing, then we've got to seriously, determine, why that is. If they're not making payments, if we are their bank, guys, we've got to get rid of them. Okay. If we're not making any profits on them, we got to get rid of them. Send them to the competition. Okay. What else we got here? I'm just going through strategic alliances. Oh my gosh, number 8. This is an endless sales force that's not on your payroll. Okay, using other tradies to get you business and to give you leads is huge. Okay. Number 19, 12-month marketing plan. Yeah, if you don't, you know what I call it, your cash flow follows your calendar. If you don't have a marketing plan, if I come and take a look at your business and I go, hey, show me your marketing plan, and you go, I don't have one, well, then basically you're going to get whatever the world's going to give you, okay, because you have no plan to control your leads. So type in the chat box right now, which one are you going to focus on, and that would be great. Richard's got video testimonials. Yeah, absolutely, Richard. I can show you how to do that. It's number 2, profit pipeline, winning clients beyond price. That's huge, Richard. Wayne, filtering clients, create proven sales process. Lisa, when you provide free estimates, how would you suggest screening out the Ds? Lisa, I'm going to show you how to have a quick chat with me afterwards, just for the sake of time. When you provide free estimates, how would you suggest screening out the Ds? Well, it's all how you position them. Okay, it's not just doing the quote for them. It's what are you sending them before you give out the quote, and what questions are you asking them to filter fast. When you talk to these people, do you have a system for asking them the right questions? How important is price? Also educating them on, they're going to say, man, it's huge. And they're going to say, okay, great, awesome. Would you mind if I go through a couple of things just to make sure that we're clear on the job that you're looking at? And say, Lisa, it's an electrical job. One of the things that I teach my clients is making sure that we've got providing the right positioning statements to these people, and actually give them hard copies of information if we can, to tell them how important it is to have the right, quality tradesperson, certified tradesperson, we're rated by the Better Business Bureau, that we're showing them stuff because it's our job to educate the clients as to what they need to know and the risks involved if they pick the wrong contractor. So there's whole scripts in how to position people with that. Okay, Lisa? Catherine, number 1. Becky, flyers and postcards, something tangible for our client to hold as proven to be a stickler with our customers. Yes, absolutely. And just to highlight, when you're talking about sales and marketing, you need to understand your client's fears, frustrations, wants, and aspirations. And that's on here called the secret psychology. Number 5. Okay, so that would really help out you, Lisa. Filtering clients, filter customers, strategic alliance, Dan, Deborah, 12-month marketing plan, pipeline and filter clients, huge, Laura, Nick, 4 and 16, Ross, 12-month marketing plan, low cost, but more effective. Yep, 1 and 7. So strategic alliances would be good for you there, Ross. Systems of questions to ask clients in a quote meeting. By the way, Ross, I should connect you with Yvon at Emile Perdum. I think you and him could build a really cool strategic alliance. I've already mentioned your name to him actually 2 weeks ago. All right. So let's move on. So the Goal Smasher tool. Now we've picked our strategy for each of the 3 pillars, being our time, our team, profits and cash, and marketing and sales. Guys, it's time to show you the tool that takes these goals and creates a step-by-step plan, okay? I call it the Goal Smasher, okay? I'm a big Marvels guy, so how Hulk says Hulk smash, I'm looking at this as, goal smasher, right? How do we smash your goals? And to do that, this is what we use, okay? So the Goal Smasher tool, again, I'm hoping this gets through to you guys. I'm afraid that we might have the same problem as last time. So let me just exit this for a second. The Goal Smasher tool, again, it might open up in your web browser. So I'm going to put this in the chat box. Okay, team. This is not meant to be used live on the call, like for you to, this is not one of those tools to use live on the call. It's to use afterwards. I'm just going to educate you on it right now and how to use it. Okay, and so let's get into this. So here's the thing so let us know if, actually, did I pay, only to organizers, just the entire audience. So you should have gotten it in your Dropbox, or sorry, in your chat box right now. Just click on the link and it should pop up. Okay. Okay, so let's get into this. There's 4 steps. First, we got to identify our goals. Okay. Again, if you guys are having problems getting it, we'll get it out to you for, I don't know for what reason there's an issue with it, if there is. Pick no more than 3, okay, goals. That's super huge, okay? And when we're looking at this, we're trying to break this down over a period of time, typically 90 days. The second thing that we need to do as first steps is to create a plan of action. There's no point, now that we got, we've picked the right number of goals, 1 for each of the pillars, okay? And you guys were told why, so that we got balance. The second thing is the plan, right? To create the action steps. Third is the actions, to get the team involved, to create accountability, which starts with you putting this plan together and really getting your team involved. I'm going to show you an example of that. And then fourth is defaulting our efforts, allocating the time every week. And again, I'll show you how this tool can help you do that. Everybody says same as last time, guys. It will download via the internet browser to your downloads. Email me at support@profitforcontractors if it doesn't work for you, if you need help. Okay, so I'm going to open up this tool, walk through it with you. It's a killer tool. Deborah says, got it? Sweet. So at least we got one person that's got it. Okay, I'm going to try and zoom in here, guys. Move this baby up, and we'll show you the blank first. 150. Can everybody see it? Just type in the chat box. Can you see my Goal Smasher tool? Yes. All right. Awesome. So let's go through this. Now, don't get overwhelmed. Like anything, guys, you guys are tradies, okay? You've learned how to use tools. And in the beginning, in first year apprentice, I didn't know how to use a Greenlee bender, okay? I didn't, but I got pretty good at it, doing concentric bending because I practiced, because I knew the tool worked. I had to trust the people that said, hey, this Greenlee tool, hydraulic bender works. So then I used it, okay? It's the same with today, okay? So you're going to put the name. It could be a team member, okay? This could be used for a team member as well, but let's just focus on you as the owners today. The company, the vision, I'll show you an example of that. A vision being is, what is it we're trying to accomplish? The mission is, what are the things that we're going to do to ensure that that's happening? You could get your financial bookkeeper to fill in these numbers as far as what are your sales, what are your gross margin dollars on the jobs you do, what are your expenses, and what are your bottom line net profits. Okay, this is totally delegatable to your bookkeeper, okay, or your accountant, okay, to fill in. Not you, them. Okay, so we want to identify what are the 3 goals. Okay, I'm going to show you an example today. We want to identify how much time each one of these action items is going to take to get done. We're going to identify who needs to actually help us with it or who we're going to delegate this to. Okay, and then this is the goal. Then we can map out when we're going to get these actions done. So let's take a look at one. Okay, one I've referenced many times today. Let's zoom in. Okay, so let's put this baby into action. Okay, say the goal that you picked, right? Like Steve Johnson Electrical Contracting, increase profits by 20%, reduce my hours by 30%, leverage my team and my customers. Beautiful. So how's he going to do that? Well, he decided to pick get rid of Class D clients. Well, here are the 8 steps to do that. Okay. So the first thing is download the client rating matrix, listen to the video that goes with it. So for my clients on the call today, you would just click on this link and it should open up and see, wave my magic wand. And drum roll, here we go. And up would pop the rating client matrix. Okay. And again, when we rate our clients, just quickly touch on this. Okay, it's not just about profits; it's about payment terms, work volume, energy, deal with them, job location. Is it repeat business? Do they give us Class A referrals? What's the lifetime value of how much money and sales they give us over the lifetime that they've been with us? And then we rate them. If they score 31, this guy's a D. They score 84, they're an A. Okay, so pretty simply put, close that up. Okay, next is to share the goal with the team and explain why. What has Class D's cost us? You need to make this emotional to your team so they take it seriously. You're going to determine your definition of what a Class D is. It's going to be different for everybody on the call today based upon your segment or what area we're going to focus in on. Maybe we've got separate Class Ds for service calls, separate for residential, commercial, industrial, okay, as an example. Fill in the matrix with the top 5 Class D. Why am I putting only 5 here? Okay, this is just a recommendation because I don't want to get overloaded. If you got 25 Class Ds, we're not going to go after all 25. Let's get 5, one small chunk at a time taken care of Class D so that we can get the results quickly. Okay. Inform the team that no more work will be done with them. Okay. Class D lists beside the phone and some hard copy. And then we're going to inform who the Class Ds are. Okay, this is just a recommendation to let them know that we're not going to deal with them anymore. Okay, so that could be a letter. Let me show you an example of that. Okay, so here's a Class C, D letter. I showed you an example on the slide deck. Okay, here's an example that would go out to them. Okay, for my clients, you can just click on that link. Okay, for others, you want to create your own letter, whatever that might be. Fill in the next 5 and begin the process all over again. And importantly, let's make sure that we share it with the team so we're monitoring the progress, okay? Now let's take a look at how do we use this from an hours perspective, okay? This is the estimated hours to do each of these things, okay? So we've broken down how much time is going to be allocated for each of these things. Notice I'm just showing one goal here, okay? So now that allows us to allocate the proper amount of time, in our weeks to make those things happen. We identify who is going to help us. Look at this. 1, 2, 3 things in this list of 8 primarily. Maybe it's going to be 9. I would have to fill in these other 2 here. But say 2 to 3 things out of the 8 actually involve the owner. The rest of it is delegated to the team. Okay, and that's what we've got to keep doing is utilizing our team. What's the next thing that we do? Well, now that we've got the steps, we know what the goal is, know how much time per action item, we know who's going to help us with it. We're going to set timelines for when we're going to get these things done. We're not going to get all this done in 1 week. No, we're going to space this out week on week. Like I said, try and get small things done, 1 to 2 things done every week. And by God, imagine if you just did 1 thing every week for 52 weeks. Imagine how many goals you would achieve. So in this case, we're allocating. Why do we have more than 2? Because it's only an hour and a half. I mean, come on. If we can't put an hour and a half to work on our business on this week, February the 15th, to get these 2 things done, then we're not serious about this, okay? Another 2 goals or action items for the following week. Another 2 for the following week. Oh, wow, a little bit over an hour and a half, an hour and 35 minutes, okay? And then we move on, right? And then we start it all over again. By the end of a month, we've gotten rid of at least 5 Class D clients and we've systemized the process. The same thing can be done. Again, I'm not going to go through all the details, but the same thing gets done for the next goal, okay? Putting structure in place. By the end of 2 months, we've gotten rid of Class Ds, gotten time back, increased our profits, increased our time, and based upon this map, we've put structure in place based upon all the various different steps, and we know who needs to be involved, okay? So that's the blank template, okay, that you guys can use. All right, so when we're taking a look at this, okay, let's come back to our presentation here because we've got to start wrapping things up. Okay, this is the kind of results you can get. Okay, this is a client of mine, Cool Tech Mechanical. In 12 months, less than 12 months, actually increased his profits by 210%, guys, because he put a plan in place. Okay, he put an office admin in place. These are all separate goals. Hired a salesperson, got more vacations. He's expanded his crews. Just hired another talented crew member. Systemized the business, increased quote to job ratio, and he's able to coach his son's hockey, right? Because he has the time to do it. Okay, so that's some of the examples you can get if you work your goals step by step. And like I said, in 52 weeks, what could your business look like with minimum, one of these steps every week? Okay, so team, look, here's the reality. I'm not sure why you showed up here today. Okay, if you're my clients, I do. Okay, it could be because you're not in control of your business. Everything's coming back to you, and there's no process. Could be because you're backed up. I love this slide. Where you're paralyzed because every time you go to grow the business, so there's your problems which hold you back. It could be because of a lack of accountability with your team. But what I want you to understand is the importance of putting systems in place to run the business so that people can run the systems. I want you to understand that you need to put plugs in the holes so that you can maximize your profits. And I want you to get off this roller coaster ride of continuously going up and down, up and down, up and down. So the obvious question it brings up is, you might be asking yourself right now, or the only question you'd be asking yourself is, how do I, create a step-by-step plan to take my business to the next level? Okay, and you got a choice, right? You can take what we covered off today, and you can do it slow, right? Maybe patch together some of the things that we talked about today. You can do it by trial and error, and sometimes that results in sore thumbs and frustration. Or you can do it the fast way, right? You can bypass all the trial and error and go straight to the tools like my clients use, shortcut the results. So saving you hundreds of hours, and really take the A to Z nuts and bolts. That's that we've covered off just a bit today. That's work for hundreds of contractors and put it in your business. So before I tell you how you can go and get this next step by step opportunity here, I got to say it's not for everybody. Okay, so there's two kinds of people that I don't want to sort of share this with. That's the sharks. That's the people that almost like malicious intent, right? They're not about the importance of their customers and about their team. It's just about the bottom line money. So if there's any sharks on the call, you guys can jump off now. And the reality is that, secondly, I need you to know that there's no magic pills. Okay, you can't get any system and think that it will magically work. You have to work it. Okay. So it's called the contractor strategy session, and it puts you in the driver's seat to create a custom step-by-step plan that's easy to use, so you guys can smash your year. Okay, if you're not, like I said, a client or part of the community, and you'd like some help to fast track your results and build a business that is possible and make the year the best ever, then I have 7 available slots for this free 60-minute contractor strategy session. There's only 7 spots available because my major focus is on helping my clients and spending my time there. And what's the outcome? Well, in the 60 minutes, what's going to happen is we're going to pick the right strategy, make sure you get the right strategy for each pillar. We're going to make sure that you've got clarity of what your business should look like in 12 months, if not 3 years. Ideal profit, team, and sort of the hours. Touch on 6 strategies to systemize your business, and have you also walk away with being able to go from chaos to control and stop it all coming back to you. So if you do want some help, just click on the link in the chat box. I'm going to try and put that in there right now. Let me just see here. Exit this. I should be able to just copy this. Put this in here. This should work for you guys. I'm going to click on it myself. Okay. So thanks, Richard, for your comment. So you just click on this link. Let's see if it works. So I just clicked on it. And what you should get is this. Okay. You guys can pick the times that work for you. Again, there's 7 spots available. It shows a lot more options here, but there's 7 spots available. And so just type in chat box. Does that work for you guys? It'd be great to let me know. Okay, just type yes. Okay, awesome. Okay, so all right. So like I said, there's 7 available. Sorry if you click on it and they're gone. It's first come first served basis, just because I've only got so much time. So take a look at this. Again, you'll see that. And you know what? I believe that people should get rewarded for taking action. So not only will you be able to have that session with me, but you'll also get access to the recordings. You can share it with your team. If you want to hold training internally, you can use that. You guys are going to get the contractor's toolbox. Plus, I'm going to share with you one of the most effective templates I've referred to several times, which is the Goal Smasher tool as well. You'll also get the customer analysis tool, so you can start filtering those Class D clients. Even if you only got one or two Class D clients, think about how much time they're taking up and how much profits they're stealing from you. And on top of that, if they're even paying you. Okay, so let's keep going here. So my message to contractors is don't look at growing your business until we've maximized the profitability and effectiveness of your team right now and the jobs you've got right now. Only then should you focus on growth. Okay, and that's why we need to do an audit and identify what's holding you back with what's going on right now, and then we can look at what the next steps are for you based upon where you're at in the contractor's ladder of success. So what kind of questions, you guys? Anybody have any questions? That would be great. Ask away. Any questions on what we covered off today? And again, we're going to wrap this baby up in a couple of minutes. Anything about the contractor strategy session or anything I might not have addressed, just type it in the chat box. So ask away. Again, so got how much time is it going to take for me for this to be effective? Great question. I'm guessing you're really busy, and when we're looking at your time, we've got to break this down to bite-sized pieces. So in the beginning, we're probably looking at, in order for your plan to be effective, like the example I showed you, 1 to 2 hours a week. Then what happens is you start getting time back, right? And then you start getting an extra hour a week and another week and another week because you're systemizing and delegating and putting structure in place. And so with that being said, you actually get more and more time back to work on the business, and that's what we do. Okay, does that help? Awesome. Okay, Kyle wants to know, can you learn these strategies? Yeah, totally. You know what? Anybody that's on the call today has the skill set to learn these things because you guys are tradies. You're smart people. Okay, there's no question. You guys have the skill set to do a lot more than what you're able to do now, just for the mere fact that the main reason that you're being held back is because you don't have the tools for the job. Okay, you just don't. Okay, when you went to trade school, they never taught you this. Okay, they never taught you, how to, understand your financials, how to delegate, how to, put structure in your business. So how the hell would you know? Okay, it's like as an industrial controls electrician trying to get, Richard, who's on the call, who does roofs, to program an automation line, or me to go and do a roof. We've learned different skills. Okay, but you guys have the ability to do that. Okay, so. I see Jeff booking in. I see Laura. That's awesome. Yeah, I see lots of people jumping into the contractors strategy session. That's awesome. Okay. So Richard, can you give me? Yep, absolutely, Richard. I'll give you a quick call. Richard says success is time invested. Absolutely. Keith, thanks. I got called out and definitely want to go back and review it. Okay, Andrew, I booked in. Yep, absolutely. Wayne, perfect. Talk to you later. Okay, guys, wrapping up today's call. Just want to say thank you, guys. I wouldn't mind, for those that are still on the call, if you guys could just do a little poll for me, just quickly. So let me just do this here. If you guys could just type in what value did you get, or just click on the poll, select one of the following. What value did you get out of this online workshop? That would be great. I really appreciate that. I'm in partnership with my husband in our business and would like a chance to review this before answering questions attached. I'll look at answering the questions and log in later. Okay, that's great, Gail. Jeff, okay, awesome. Nick, looking forward to working with you in the future. Awesome. Lots of value. Great. Thanks, Richard. Okay, guys, please give you guys a second I'm going to close the poll. Awesome. in just a minute here. Okay, that is great. I do have one last poll for you guys. I'm just going to keep polling you. No, I just got one last one just to help us focus in on, what, you're looking to get more information in on. Okay, so let's do this. I'm just going to close that poll. Okay, and this is something I want to ask you guys. So just tell me, guys, as far as for those that are still on the call, and thanks a lot for sticking around, which area, time and team, profits and cash, marketing and sales is a major focus for you guys. So we got marketing and sales, profit and cash, time and team. Okay. Well, it's pretty balanced. We got 30% of people are time and team, 30% profit and cash, and 40% is marketing and sales. Wow, this is totally balanced, which is really interesting. Okay, I'm going to close that poll. All right, close this off. Okay, gang, it was a pleasure working with you guys today. I'm just going to wrap up by saying thank you so much for your participation. Thank you, no problem, Catherine. My pleasure. Ross, I passed the time in touch with a few months. Need to increase sales by 65%. Okay, awesome. Interest to become a client. Laura, thank you for your presentation. You're welcome, Lisa. Look forward to talk later. Jeff, a great value. Ross, hey man, for sure it's great chatting with you. And I'll, if you're interested, Ross, let me know and I can connect you with Yvonne. Core, because of my business, not the stream targeted oppose. I'm just reading what Jason's got here. Our systems value was applicable. Awesome. You're welcome, Wayne. You're welcome, Deborah. Nick, everybody, thanks everybody on the call. I appreciate your time and participation, everyone. All right, so let's wrap this up. Thanks, guys. I wish you all the best in the next 12 months. You guys can totally change your business, and regardless of engaging with me, take some of these things back to your business and do something with them. All right, guys. We'll catch you on the flip. Peace out.